Plot the ordered pairs 2, 3, 0, -2, and -5, 3 on the same xy plane. That's another way of saying it. XY plane, coordinate system, Cartesian system. They all mean the same thing. If possible, state the quadrant in which each of the points is located. So, 2, 3. 2, 3. Right here. Okay? So 2 for x, 3 for y. This will be the point. It's at the intersection of x equals 3 with y, x equals 2 with y equals 3. X equals 2 with y equals 3, and that's the point. 0, -2. 0 for x, -2 for y will be right here. Because it's found on the vertical x equals 0 and the horizontal y equals -2. Now, the points on the x and y axis are not part of any quadrant. So for 0, -2, you cannot say that 0, -2 is in XYZ quadrant. No. 2, 3 is in the first quadrant, but 0, -2 does not belong to any. -5, 3. Can anyone tell us where will -5, 3 be? In which quadrant will that be? -5, 3. Which quadrant will that be? Anyone, please? -5, 3. It will be in the second quadrant. Very good. So we go to -5 vertical line, which is right here, and +3 horizontal line, which is right here. So this is the point. It will be found at the vertical line x equals -5 and the horizontal line y equals 3. So it is indeed in the second quadrant. Any questions? Do we need to plot more points? Do we understand how to plot points? Nobody says anything? I don't know if to continue or not. Good. Can anyone read for us some ordered pairs from here? Can anyone read point A? Can anyone read the coordinates of point A?
-2 and 5.
-2 for x, +5 for y. Excellent. Can anyone read point D for us?
-2, 0.
-2, 0. Perfect. Do we need to read more points? Do we need to read more points?
No.
Okay, moving on then. Perfect. Determine whether or not the ordered pair is a solution to the equation. Do we want to try any of these? We did this, but it doesn't matter. We need to practice. How will you do? How will you check 3, 5? How we will check 3, 5? What will you do? So in y equals 3x minus 4, 3, 5. What will you do to check whether this point is found or lies on the graph of the equation, or if it verifies the equation? How would you check? What will you do? Does anyone remember what we did? Verify.
We substitute 3 and 5 for x and y.
Exactly. So I will replace this by 3 and I will replace this by 5. So 5 equals 3 times 3 is 9 minus 4. If you say yes, then I'll have to say yes. If you say no, then I will have to say no. Is it a yes or is it a no? Will you say yes or will you say no?
Yes.
Yes. You will say yes and you will say yes. In other words, this equation, this ordered pair verifies the equation. In other words, it is located on the graph. It is located on the graph. Excellent. Good. That's all we needed to do. Let's continue. The same equation, the same question here to verify. Find an ordered pair that satisfies the equation by letting x equals 2. Perfect. So for x equals 2, for x plus y equals 4, if x is 2, let's find the ordered pair. Please replace x by 2 and let's find y. Do we have y? Anybody? Do we have y?
2.
Yes. Y is 2. Can anyone give us the ordered pair that guarantees to verify this equation?
2, 2.
That's it. 2 for x, 2 for y. Excellent. Good. Good. Let's see if there is anything else in here. The same thing, the same type of question, the same type of question, the same type of question. The table that we just did together a few minutes ago. Same table we did a few minutes ago. For the following equation, find the missing value in each ordered pair. Excellent. So we have the equation given to us is x equals -8. And they're asking us to find the ordered pair, whatever, comma 11. Was it -11 or +11? 11. Good. Can anyone give us the ordered pair?
-8.
Of course. They're trying to be cute. Of course, there is nothing you can plug in anything. So for all these points, they're on the vertical line, x equals -8. -8, 11, -8, -3, -8, 15, of course. Okay, here we know we're going to plug it in like we just did. The same, we're going to plug it in. Same thing, plug it in. Same thing, the table, we just did the table. Okay, same thing. Same thing, over and over, the same and the same. Okay. This is a problem that we just worked on. Just different numbers. It was -15,000 and 290. Same problem. You have an example in the notes. Okay, so let's answer number 20. An equation to approximate the percentage of the population 25 years of age or older with a bachelor's degree in the country can be given by the model. So they're giving us. So this is problem 20 in 4.1. So P equals 0.439N plus 25.2. And they're telling us that this is in percent. N is the number of years after 2000. This is very important to understand. We are told that N is the number of years since the year 2000. We immediately have to identify that the year 2000 represents N equals 0. So for example, 2010 will represent N equals what? If 2000 is N equals 0, 2010 represents N equals anybody, please? Exactly 10, of course. Of course. So as an example. Now, let's continue reading the problem. Good. According to the model, what percentage of the population 25 and older had a bachelor's degree in the year 2000? So, can anyone tell us in the year 2000 what is the percentage of the population 25 plus that had a bachelor's degree in this particular country? Anybody has an answer? How am I going to determine that? In the year 2000, in other words, when N is 0, what is the ordered pair that we are looking at? Can anyone give us P, the percentage, when N is 0? Anybody, please? Josh, will you tell us when N is 0, how much is P? Mohammed, will you tell us when N is 0, how much is P? We have the formula. We're asked to determine P when N is 0.
It'll be 0.
0.439 times 0 plus 25.2 equals how much?
25.2.
25.2%. 0.439 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 25.2 is 25.2. Perfect. Back to the problem. So 25.2. We have to enter because we cannot see the rest of the problem. Good. According to the model, what percentage of the population 25 years of and plus when N equals 10? So again, the best thing to do is enter, like we did before, the formula in y equals. And the formula is 0.439. We don't have the n, so we have to use x. It doesn't matter. The variable is not important. 25.2. And then when you use the second table, when you put in 0, you will get 25.2. When we put in 10, make sure that you highlight, because now here it's clear, but sometimes there are more decimal digits than just 2. So 29.59% when n is 10. So let's see what they want us, how they want us to approximately. Okay, so then I have to enter 29.59%. According to the model, what percentage of the population will have a bachelor's degree in 2020? Fine, very easy, because now I have, go back to X, just put 20 in, and it's 33.98. Then you don't have to calculate anything by hand. 33.98%. So I'm going to enter 33.98%. Okay. In which year? Now the question is different. They're not giving us X or N. In which year will 50% of the population have a bachelor's degree? Round to the nearest year as needed. So how do we do this? How do we do this? When would the percentage be 50%? How do I determine that? And let me write the formula again. So the formula is 0.439n plus 25.2. So how do we solve this? Now they're not giving us n, they're giving us p. So what should I write? What equation do we have to write and solve in order to determine n? Anyone please get us started on this? Ariana? Ariana, will you help us? Okay, Ariana is not with us. Anybody else would like to try? Can anyone get us set up?
Do you plug in 50 to the equation?
Yes, where?
50 equals 0.
Exactly, exactly. 0.0439 times n, plus 25.2. Excellent. So we have to subtract 25.2. 50 minus 25.2 equals 0.439n. And I recommend that remember how to enter in the graphing calculator. And the graphing calculator, you have to put parentheses. Sometimes for the denominator not, but so 50 minus 25.2 over 0.439. There is no need for parentheses in writing, but we need parentheses for the graphing calculator. So get out of there with second and quit, and put parentheses 50 minus 25.2, close, and divide by 0.439. And the answer is 56.49. I cannot enter that. I have to read. Okay. Round to the nearest year as needed. So, sorry, I meant to share. It says round to the nearest year as needed. So since this is 4, I'm going to cut these two off and I'm going to say 56 years. But they're asking us which year, so I have to add 2000 to it. So in 2056, the percentage will drop, or I'm sorry, in this case will increase to 50%. So then when I enter the answer, I will enter 2056. In 2056, 50% of the population, finally, it's part E. Good. According to the model, 100% of the population, 25 and older, will have a bachelor's degree in 2170. Do you think this is a reasonable situation? Do you think this is reasonable? Why or not? Why not? Choose the correct answers below. It is reasonable. So first of all, it's not reasonable because we don't know if 170 years from now the model will still hold. If somebody comes in from the future and says, yes, the model will hold 170 years from now, then I'll be very confident and say, sure. But we do not know whether the model will hold or not. It is reasonable because a greater percentage, No. It is not reasonable because bachelor's degrees will likely be less important. No, we don't know that. It is not reasonable because there will likely be people who are still in the process of getting a bachelor's degree. That makes sense. However, in my opinion, none of this makes any sense. Okay? So, it's not reasonable, that's for sure. Because 150 years from now, we don't know if the model holds. Okay? According to the model, 100%, do you think it is why or not? Why not? So that's my answer to it. But now, because I have to choose, it is not reasonable because there will likely be people who are still in the process of getting a bachelor's degree. It is not reasonable because bachelor's degrees will likely be less important, so fewer people will have them. I don't know that. It is reasonable because a greater percentage of people will have bachelor's degrees as the country's population increases. This makes no sense to me. We don't know if the model still holds 170 years from now. It is reasonable because the given equation is valid for all values of n. So it's very confusing, in my opinion, the answer here. It is reasonable because the given equation is valid for all values of n. It is not true because values of n since 2000, I mean, it makes sense, but there is no guarantee that the model is still valid 170 years from now. So this is okay if somebody comes from the future and says the model still holds. It is reasonable because a greater percentage of people will have bachelor's degrees in the country. I don't know. So that has some truth to it, but again, I don't know if that's the case because nobody says that this is a model that will still hold. It is not reasonable because bachelor's degrees will likely be less important. I don't know that. It is not reasonable because there will likely be people who are still in the process of getting a bachelor's degree. So getting 100% is never really possible. So I disagree with all of them, honestly. But I will choose C. It is reasonable because a greater percentage of people will have that. I don't know that. It is reasonable because it is not reasonable because it will be like, I don't know that. It is reasonable because a given equation is valid for all values of n. That is true, but nobody says that this is still valid. So I'm going to choose C, and they will explain to us. The whole thing makes no sense, in my opinion. So the rest is fine. There is nothing else that we need to look at. So at least I would say 4.1 should be completed, both the learn and the practice. We didn't really have time to look at 4.2 and 4.3, the practice. We will on Thursday. So at least if you can get 70% on 4.1, I'm happy. If you'd like to start the learn on 4.2, you can. But I prefer going through problems, as you know, from the practice for both before I say all of it should be done.